This month carries an important meaning to millions of Americans. It's Pride Month.
We're a welcoming space for everyone. We don't judge, we just say come as you are.
Today, more Americans than ever identify as LGBTQ.
We're just kind of realizing that we're not in control of any of the aspects of their identity.
This week, we look at issues that are deeply personal to this community.
Books don't suddenly turn you into a whole different person.
Like the battle over banning LGBTQ books.
We have to take care of our own people.
And the importance of gaining a better understanding of identities within the LGBTQ community. This is The Race. We start this show with a sad and scary fact. That last year was the deadliest year on record for people who are transgender in the United States. Today, many of those murders are still unsolved, and in many cases, victims have not been properly identified. And that's why we came to this small town in western Massachusetts to introduce you to a group that is working to make sure these cases don't go cold. From the moment I stepped into Anthony Redgrave's office.
So I've got a couple here that I did the forensic art for. This is the most recent one.
It became clear what it takes to do his work is something most will never understand.
Harris County Doe. They were found in 2019.
While you may have heard terms like John Doe or Jane Doe, remains of people who cannot be identified. Here at his nonprofit, the Trans Doe Task Force, many of the cases they focus on are where unidentified remains may be someone who is transgender. In some cases, it can be difficult for authorities. If the remains of someone who identified as a woman were found, but police identified them as male based on skeletal remains, it could send law enforcement in the wrong direction.
People will automatically assume, oh, the police are here to protect us and they'll know what to do. But the fact of the matter is they don't know everything about every single community.
Take the case known as the Pillar Point Doe, a person found stabbed to death in 1983, not far from San Francisco.
This individual was assigned male and wearing feminine coded clothing and was found within hours of death on the beach.
Although they had female characteristics, the medical examiner listed the body as that of a male.
The neglect to include that they were wearing feminine clothing at the time, I'm sure contributed to the identification taking, 40 years.
In 2018, Anthony and his team took on the case. They worked with a sketch artist who created this image that looked more female than the sketch authorities originally put out. Here it is on the government's database for missing and unidentified persons.
There were multiple forensic images that came out before this went to DNA, and none of them showed them presenting as female.
Using DNA, they eventually tracked down the identity of Pillar Point Doe. What is the moment like when you solve a case?
I cry every time. And it's never going to get easier, and I don't want it to get easier.
While police now know who the victim is, they haven't arrested a killer.
Especially with these older cases, there's a feeling of relief because there's always this hope that they're going to come home when you don't know.
Jesse Velstra showed me the papers that go into their database of missing and murdered members of the LGBTQ community. It helps police match identities with remains.
Even with people who know their family members are deceased, but their bodies haven't been found. It's an intensely painful situation.
As someone who is transgender, Anthony will tell you this work is personal.
If my life had taken one step in a completely different direction, or even a slightly different direction, I could be one of these people.
But he hopes everyone sees this as important, no matter how they identify.
And these are people who are just as deserving of having their case closed and just as deserving of having their family be notified as anybody else, because everyone matters.
I'm Vanessa Mashanya. All across the country, books with LGBTQ characters and storylines are being banned from school districts. Now, proponents of these bans say that they're not suitable for younger audiences. However, opponents of these bans say that the right book in the hands of someone who's trying to figure out their identity is a positive and powerful thing.
come here and just, write in their journal or hang out or chat. We're a library, but we don't mind having people talking.
Welcome to Quatrefoil Library.
This is a very early lesbian publication. I think the various verses starts in 1956.
For 36 years, it's been a place for books and archived magazines centered around the queer experience.
The mission, I think, then as now, is to be a crossroads.
It's also a place that believes in the power of books that help folks see themselves in and connect to a community they might otherwise not have. With this belief, the current culture war is something that worries Executive Director Claude Peck.
It's a concern, and things seem to be accelerating.
According to PEN America, between July 1st, 2021 and March 31st of this year, 1,586 books were banned in 86 schools across 26 states, including Minnesota, where Quatrefoil is located. Most of these books had to do with race and LGBTQ topics.
Books were an important part of my coming out process. And so for me to be able to think about what was missing then and what is probably missing now, and can I write that? And those are the books I'm trying to write.
Rachel Gold is an associate professor and author of young adult or YA books.
I think representation is immensely important in young adult because it's this identity formation stage.
Rachel says they believe these bans come from fear. They believe stories are one of the safest ways for teens to see themselves as they figure out their identity, or for people to learn about others different from them.
If you read a book that's not for you, you're just going to know it's not for you. Books don't suddenly turn you into a whole different person. That only happens when you're already that person and the book is showing you the way.
As queer people, we don't often have people in our family that we can connect to. Where are we going to find that? We have to seek that out.
Just like Rachel saw a gap in representation in literature, Rebecca Lawrence saw a gap in the telling of history of queer folks and started telling queer history through a series of gatherings for these stories to be passed down.
There's anger and also hilarity that they think that will keep us from knowing who we are.
Rebecca, along with Rachel and Claude, say limiting exposure to queer literature won't erase their community, but they believe barriers to access it are harmful.
Other friends who don't have supportive families and are kicked out of their homes, having stories to reflect yourself is extremely validating.
My parents hated my Frank Zappa album when I first bought it, and I liked it twice as much as a result. So you got to be careful of that too.
While conversations about excluding books in libraries continue, advocates for more available literature hope people consider the benefits of representation.
Be aware that this wisdom comes from all kinds of sources and that it's a changing world. And it's, as far as the LGBTQ thing, I think it's changing for the better.
I'm Vanessa Bashania.
We'll introduce you to a growing group within the LGBTQ community next on The Race.